this is the year of the defensive end down here. You know, you have 4 or 5 All-American guys. You gotta get your fair share, you know. But I need at least 1, maybe 2 defensive tackles as well. You know what I'm saying? So it's not an either or, because you need both. You know, you want to have the dream come true. And Anthony Lucas, who's of Haitian descent, his father is a University of Miami alum, such as myself, was from, or, you know, lived down here, was born down here, moved out to Arizona, you know, 6 foot, 310 pound defense, or 6'4", 320-ish pounds, I want to say, defensive tackle slash 500-foot home run hitting first baseman. Lives in Arizona now. You want the dream to come true and him to follow the family legacy and come to the University of Miami. And his father was a student, not an athlete, but still, you would love to have that and get him as an All-American at defensive tackle. But in terms of, you know, local guys, Shamar Stewart's a top 10, you know, top 10 player in this class overall at defensive end. You got Marvin Jones Jr., you got Dante Anderson from Homestead, you got Nigel Kelly from Dillard. There's probably a couple other guys I've given you the list before. You got to get a couple of those guys. So if I had to rank them, I would say ends over tackles this year, especially locally, because the proliferation of really high-level recruits down here is more on the defensive end side, but you definitely cannot overlook the defensive tackle recruiting. Especially, think about where Miami's been with defensive tackles, right? Think about where we were when Al Golden was here, right? Transitioning to Mark Richt, seeing what has been done through the Mark Richt era into the Manny Diaz era in recruiting and developing defensive tackles, where that position is you could make an argument that that's the most talented position on this team. I'm going to go safety, probably running back, but I mean, you could make the argument based upon what's in that room of defensive tackle that it's among the best rooms, among the best position groups on this team. When was the last time you were able to say that about defensive tackles at the University of Miami? Been a while. So you cannot ignore them at all. You know what I'm saying? This is why we're talking about, again, I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. I wrote a feature a couple of years ago on stateoftheu.com. It's still pinned on the front page, called The Recruiting Rules. I put a lot of time and research into it. I really honestly believe it. One of the rules is stacking elite classes on top of each other. So you cannot ignore one just for a year and say, okay, we're good on defensive tackle. You got guys who leave. Say the same thing about defensive ends now, right? This year has fallen off a little bit because we don't necessarily have the household names. Why? Gregory Rousseau, gone. NFL, first round draft pick, going to start in Buffalo, has the highest and the highest rate of pass rushing wins of anybody in the league through the preseason so far, is leading every rookie in all of these metrics about getting to the quarterback. He's not here anymore. Jalen Phillips, been a little injured. People tweeting about him today in the Dolphins backfield at practice, blowing stuff up, can't block him, can't stop him. He's not here anymore. Quincy Roche in Pittsburgh, making things happen. All these dudes talk about, yo, this dude, Quincy Roche, number 48. Man, look at him. Look at the handwork. Look at him bend. Look at the first step. Look at all that. In the league now in the preseason, going up against some twos. But hey, guys at the second string level make the league as well, right? He's not here anymore. So now the question is, without those guys, what happens at defensive end? But Miami's been recruiting defensive ends, so we don't necessarily know the names, but we have the talent in that room. Same thing for defensive tackle would need to happen, because you're going to lose these guys out of this room eventually. Okay, so that's the short story long. But for me, defensive end number 1, defensive tackle number 2, if we're ranking those in this class, again, just because there's so much talent at defensive end in this local area, but both of them matter.
The next step for this program is to win double-digit games on a regular basis, compete for ACC championship games, seriously compete for the championship game, which they already have done, but win the ACC, compete for the playoffs. And to do that, you can't ignore any position. Yes, there are elite positions. Obviously, there are elite players at any position, but quarterback, rush end, corner, left tackle. But you can't ignore any position. You can't have a bad position on your team and still compete for playoff spots. You can't do that. you're always going to have positions that are better than others, but you can't
Right.
have a weak spot on the team and be that good.